Gabriella Salandy, and she has been working at the Center for Advanced Brain Imaging this summer under the direction of Dr. Nikki Arrington. And the title of her presentation is Brain Regions Associated with Reading. Gabby?
Thank you, Dr. Franz. As she said, I am Gabriella Salandy. I did work at Cabby this summer, so Gabby worked at Cabby. And I got the pleasure to work with Dr. Arrington, Dr. Ariana Herrera Diaz, Flora, Narciso. They all were wonderful this summer. So I'm going to talk about brain regions associated with reading, but before we can get into all the happenings in the brain, we have to understand what is reading. So reading is several things. Reading is the interpretation of significant characters using phonemic decoding, fluency, pattern recognition, vocabulary, and comprehension. Phonemic decoding essentially means you know what sounds letters make, you can put them together and sound out a word even if you don't know it or you've never seen it or it's made up. Pattern recognition, skip fluency. Fluency, you're reading fluently, you're not stumbling over your words at a decent pace. Pattern recognition, you've seen maybe these set of words before, you know what they mean, you can take it from context to context. Vocabulary, knowing the meanings of words, and comprehension, understanding what you've read. It is also an important form of communication as we use it all the time, just as I am right now, for signs, etc. As I said, it's a form of pattern recognition, and lastly, it is a left lateralized network of brain regions working together to support reading. So this means that most of the reading we believe is happening in the left hemisphere of the brain. We don't believe too much is going on in the right hemisphere. So the purpose of this study is to test for associations between brain regions characteristics and specific reading skills. So because humans started reading relatively recently, evolutionarily, we do not have a specific region for reading. So it happens in lots of different areas and they all collaborate so that we can do that. So we tested we measured brain regions' thickness and volumes, and then we tried to correlate them with the reading skills that we believe they're associated with. Another future use for the study could be to improve treatment of reading impairments, as we can more specifically locate and target where we are treating those impairments. So our hypothesis for this was that ventral pathway-associated regions in the left hemisphere will show significant correlation with word recognition skills. So I will get into the ventral pathways later. Our subjects were 24 young adults with typical reading skills, and the mean age was 22. So the reading network, as I said, we have. For what I'll be talking about today includes the ventral pathways, works with word recognition. My regions, that includes occipital temporal gyrus, superior temporal gyrus, and the middle temporal gyrus. It also includes the dorsal pathway, which works with phonological decoding, so phonemic decoding and language processing. This includes the supramarginal gyrus and the angular gyrus. And finally, the anterior pathway, which it works with higher level processing, comprehension, for example, and this includes the inferior frontal gyrus. So what are my 5 regions? What do they do? First, the occipital temporal gyrus, or the OTG, works with word recognition, and here it is shown as the lingual and parahippocampal gyri. The superior and middle temporal gyri, or the STG and the MTG, this works with auditory and language processing and sound recognition and semantic retrieval. Semantic retrieval is basically, in the reading aspect, vocabulary. You remember what this was, it could also work with comprehension. Circled there. The supramarginal gyrus, or the SMG, works with visual word recognition. And the angular gyrus, or the AG, works with language and letter processing. Here it is the inferior parietal gyrus. And finally, the inferior frontal gyrus, or the IFG, works with speech and language processing. Here it is the pars orbitalis and pars triangularis. So our methods. We use FreeSurfer, a brain imaging software that measures the brain regions, as I said, and using the patient's MRI scans. So we also used the test of word reading efficiency, or Tower 2, because it is updated from Pearson assessments and is a test to measure people's word level reading skills. It includes 2 subtests, the sight word efficiency test, where we gave them a list of, I believe, 108 words, and they had 45 seconds to read those words. They are real words, and any words that they did not pronounce correctly or that they did not get in those 45 seconds were measured as being incorrect. And the second one was the phonetic decoding efficiency test, or the PDE. They were given a much shorter list of words, I don't know how many. They were made up words. Again, if they didn't pronounce them correctly or they didn't get to them at all in 45 seconds, that was incorrect. So the scores were correlated to the characteristics, volume, and thickness of the associated areas. So we found, correlating all of the regions that I mentioned with both tests, that the significant correlations were found in the left inferior parietal, its volume, with the SWE test, and if it has a p-value of less than 0.05, that means basically there's a 5% chance that it is not a significant correlation, so it's good results. And we also found this with the left lingual thickness for the PDE, and in the right lingual volume for the PDE. So we would expect different results because these are both, the PDE is phonetic decoding, and the left side we expect reading to be going on, right side not so much. Phonetic decoding, we wouldn't expect that to be happening so much in the lingual, but because the inferior parietal does include the angular and a little bit of the SMG, we would expect to see quite a bit going on there. So this is just to show you the correlations. That is with the left inferior parietal lobule. And then the right lingual volume, left lingual thickness, and then the results for discussion. So significant correlations between the IPL, or inferior parietal lobule, and word recognition. And then the IPL contains, as I said, the SMG and the AG, which are essential for the reading network. And as I said, that went too far. These regions we would expect to see the results that we found. And we found significant results between the lingual gyrus and phonemic decoding. And although the lingual gyrus is not part of the ventral reading pathway, the results highlight the interconnection between the pathways, the dorsal and ventral streams for single word processing, which is what the PDE measures. And then I would like to acknowledge the Center for Advanced Brain Imaging, or CABI, and my mentor and PI, Dr. Nikki Arrington, as well as Arianas, Flora, Narciso, Emmer, Ishai, and Kaylee. They all worked with me this summer. They were fantastic. And I would like to thank ION, Dr. Kyle France, Dr. Erica Tracy, and Ms. Jennifer Walcott, and then funding from the AEOP, and then from for the DMAP program that was given to GSU for the study. Thank you.
So for your subjects, was there a reason why the age limit was, or I don't remember if it was a limit of 24?
We had 24 subjects. The mean was 22, and we just had younger subjects because it is a college campus, so you expect more college students to sign up.
Okay. And my other question is, were they being timed when they were reading the words?
Yes, they had 45 seconds.
Did they know that they were being timed?
I do not know the answer to that. Probably, though.
So because I asked that because I wonder if there's an impact of that on their ability to efficiently.
Would you expect to see similar results if you did this same experiment with a different language, which maybe one with a different alphabet or one that doesn't use letters and uses symbols instead?
If they are as fluent, and if it's their first language, I would expect probably the same results.
Do you know what the gender breakdown was for your test subjects?
We get mostly female subjects. Well, in females, we do develop our fine motor skills earlier, so that does tend to play into it, but as we get older, we hope to see it even out a little more, but it still is a little bit higher usually.